Get my 6. Seriously, guys and girls, get my 6 during the reading of 2 pretty creepy stories submitted by viewers like you, potentially you, if you're the 2 that submitted the stories. I was just on my way up here where the veil is growing very thin. Not only are we where field meets forest, we're up at elevation, but if you can hear, there's a light rain. It's getting dark. And for the life of me, I swear I saw one of those things creeping up here along the wood line from the house. I stopped to try to get a better look, and it kind of like, as I would move forward, it would stop and duck down and back up, and I'd go ahead and, you know, oh, it was creepy. But we have several hidden security CCTV, home cam, trail cam things up here, whatever all those Google keyword search terms are. That's what we have everywhere. So I'm going to check one here, the one up here, after I read this. And if it picked up anything, I'm going to download it and put it in video format on the channel tonight. So this is the second video for the day. Thank you, Erie, my new channel administrator, for taking care of all the admin work, freeing me up to do this kind of stuff to make the second video possible. But if we've got something on the security cam, we're going to have a third one. So it may or may not still be up here with me. So let's get to these stories, because I'm curious to check that footage. Again, if you have a story, you can submit it to the channel at crazylake@mail.com. The first one comes from Kristen Ann, sent in more than a week ago. They're piling up. That's why I'm trying to do more videos here to get them out there. She titled this one The Intruder. So here we go. My story starts when I was 11 years old. My mom and dad had decided to move out of the home that I spent the first 11 years of my life in to another home miles away. In doing so, I would lose all my childhood friends, my school, the woods I often played in, the swamp, all that I knew in the neighborhood, including, in part, some of the fond memories of those times while I lived there, but especially I would lose my home as I knew it. I didn't want to go. I did not want to leave my neighborhood friends. Why didn't anybody ask me? Why didn't anybody check with me to see if it was okay? A bitterness rose within my heart, anger, sadness, you name it. So I fought back. The new house was okay, I guess, and time had eventually won me over to accept that much. But school was very, very different. Looking back, I was overwhelmed, I guess. It was a lot for an 11-year-old to take in. So many new faces, the whispering, the new teachers making my way to the different classes in a building I did not know. Way too much for a 12-year-old, so I rebelled. I wanted no part of it. The only good thing was my friend Mark. He attended that school. I'd met Mark at church, so I wasn't completely alone. But still I rebelled. My mind was made up. I would not give in or give up. The war had begun. Each morning, all my family would go to their different locations, work for mom and dad, school for the rest, and me, well, I guess I was pretty smart for 11 years old. My older brother would escort me to school, but at the very first chance I would get, I would leave to go home where I would watch cartoons and eat sweetened cereals. My escape from school would be through any door I could find, and one particular time out a second-story window. I know what you're thinking. Did I ever get caught? Yes, many times. And in those times, I was dragged back into the classroom, even if I was kicking and screaming, but only to leave again as soon as I could get the chance. There were times I was locked in the guidance counselor's closet. Yes, I said closet, sometimes for 2 or 3 hours at a time. But that only lasted until I found my escape route out of the school's second-floor window of the closet. I would climb out onto the ledge, and using the guidance counselor's overcoat, I would tie a knot in the sleeve, close the window on the knot, and then shimmy down his coat to the ground. On another day, something happened after nearly a full year of school. I found myself home during the school hours, going about my usual routine of cartoons and snacks. Please know that there were many times that I was a little fearful being home alone, mostly from the thought that if I dozed off, my mom and dad would come home and catch me skipping school, but also from the sounds of the house, noise, the heating system, the house creaking in rainy and thunderous days. Those left me a little uneasy a lot of the times. This particular day, something happened that would break me of my rebellious attitude, or at least keep me out of my home while skipping school. You see, at the top of the stairs leading to the second floor of our home was our bathroom, and while standing in the bathroom, looking out the door, was a long hallway that led to the 3 bedrooms in our home. On the right side, my sister's bedroom was at the end of the hall, straight ahead, with a big window that let the sunlight in. I was using the bathroom that day and messing with the old skeleton key in the door lock to kill time, as an 11-year-old would do. Then I leaned towards the keyhole to look out. I could see the sunlight coming from my sister's window up the hall towards the bathroom. But then I heard it, a noise and a creak of the floor. Someone was home, but who? Fear filled my mind as I peeked through the keyhole once again. I wanted to say out loud, "Mom, Dad, you home?" Even though I knew I'd be in big trouble, but my better sense got the best of me and I laughed to myself thinking no one's out there. I'm just hearing things. I looked again. Dear God, someone's blocking the light in the keyhole. Something or someone is close to the door. Never in my life have I been so frightened. What could I do? I'm alone. I finished my business as quietly as I could. I looked around the bathroom for a weapon. The only thing I could utilize was the plunger handle from the plunger. I had thought it over and planned on quietly unlocking the door as best I could. Then I would fling open the door, swing like a madman as I ran down the front stairs and out the front door. I gained the courage, took a deep breath, and did exactly that. Probably meant to say gained the courage. Took a deep breath, did just that. My heart was pounding in my chest. Tears filled my eyes, and I ran for my life down the stairs and out the front door. I sat down across from my home against the vacant building across the street. I sat looking, watching, waiting for someone to come out of the front door, which was still wide open. Time had passed, 5 minutes, then 20, then an hour, then 2 hours, until finally someone came home. I took a breath, followed them into the home, and discreetly, with more courage, because I had someone else with me, I began to search each room, the closets, under the beds, etc., but I found nothing. I checked every window. They were locked. The back door locked up tight with a chain. Same with the cellar door that led to the basement. Nothing. This is creepy, isn't it? Believe me when I say someone or something blocked the sunlight to that keyhole. I even watched the light come and go as it seemed whatever it was walking back and forth in front of the bathroom door. I never said a word to anyone in my family, not my mom, not my dad, not any of my sisters or brothers, and I honestly tell you, although I did return fully to classes in the days that followed that I skipped school, I did not do it at home. I would wander around the neighborhood all day. As I think back, I wondered if our landlord was snooping around the house while no one was home, but no one ever came out the front door. There was no other way into the home. I came to understand years later that there are reasons for rules. There are reasons we should listen to our parents, to our teachers, to God. And as I think back, so many other worse things could have happened to me being alone. They could have been worse. A fire, I could have choked on food, maybe even something far worse. My mom and dad said, go to school. I disobeyed, and it could have cost me my very life. Yeah, it's good to follow rules, and if I had in those days, I would have spared myself from the awful memory of what I think was an intruder. Or was it maybe a ghost? Possibly even an angel watching over me, even in my disobedience? You all have to decide for yourself. I don't hold my parents responsible for us moving. I should have talked with them, told them how I was sad about the move, but I know that my mom and dad were only doing what was best for the family, motivated by love and love alone. To them, I dedicate this story in their memory. Love you, Mom and Dad. The end. Wow. It's a creepy story. And I point out, that came across in Kristen Ann's email. That might have been her husband, Timmy Howard. Shout out to both of you. They both use that email. One of the two. Guys, comment. I'll pin it, whichever one it was. And let us know when you comment. Did you ever, do you have any clue? That was really creepy. Could have been a number of anything. All right, so the rain's starting to pick up a little bit. And again, I want to check these security cameras back here. I'm telling you, if I catch anything on it, definitely going to put another video on here this evening, which would make it the third for the day. And again, Erie, thank you. She's been offering to voluntarily administrate this channel for a while, and I finally took her up on her offer. So thank you, Erie, for making these stories possible. Keep sending them, folks. I've got the time now because Erie's doing all the the stuff I used to do that I no longer do, that's not needed for me to do, because I need to be out here telling you guys these stories, right? Looking for him, her, it, or they, making sure you're getting my 6, so keep getting it. All right, this one comes from England. There was a very long and pleasant introduction by the sender of this story named Wilf. Wilf, thank you very much for your pleasantries. Says, my name is Wilf. I am from the north of England, living just, and this is what I know about England. You know, here in the U.S., we say that typically Southerners are a lot more friendly or more cordial than Northerners. In England, it's the opposite. So Northerners are the friendly, more cordial types, and the Southerners are the more pushy, don't waste my time with small talk types. My name is Wilf. I'm from the north of England, living just on the outskirts of Burnley. I am 28 years old and am one of your shamefully few millennial subscribers, probably due to the fact that I have an attention span longer than 30 seconds, unlike most of my generation. You said it, Wilf, not me. And in part 1 of October Night's 31 Tales for the Halloween Story, I kind of did give millennials down the road. I realized I'd kind of messed up and picked on the wrong generation. It should have been Generation Z. So trust me, I have righted my wrong. In October Night's Part 2, 31 more tales for the Halloween season, which is coming out really, really soon, I give Gen Z hell. All right. My mom originally found your channel one day and sent me your Bigfoot Sasquatch videos, and ever since then I've been hooked. You are a truly amazing storyteller, and I thoroughly enjoy listening to your words and observations on life, as well as the views and tours around your homestead, and seeing Dearly and Daniel happy and enjoying life to the fullest. Though your middle name may be Crazy, I happen to think you're one of the sanest, most sober-minded people I've ever come across, and it means a lot to know there are still people like you in the world who have not been infected by the absolute madness and poison which seems endemic in modern-day 21st century society. Wilf, thank you. Flattery will get you everywhere. Now, that reminds me of something I've been meaning to say for a while. Did you guys ever read that book called Tuesdays with Maury? The author's name's escaping me right now. He's written 4 or 5 books kind of along those lines. Maury, his old college professor, tells him, I read this years ago, and this is part of something I practice in my life. Maury says, he's on his deathbed with no regrets because he lived life the way he wanted to and he lived it to the fullest. But he says, it's okay to listen, you want to understand your culture. You want to know how it works. You want to know how others work within that frame of that culture. But any part of the culture that doesn't fit you, reject it. That's what we do. That's why we don't have cable television. That's why we don't watch legacy headline news. That's why we don't get caught up in the rigmarole of the insanity of modern day living. Hey, it's part of the culture. It's deeply embedded in it. If it ain't for you, reject that part of the culture. That's what we do. A wise guy named Maury suggested that. Back to what Wilf said. I have many and varied odd experiences throughout my life, which I've spent years now chronicling, archiving in diaries and analyzing. I've come to the conclusion that although much of life around us is ostensibly normal, we all find ourselves encased in a paranormal Disneyland. To borrow a phrase from another great American like yourself, no, don't stop, Wilf, don't stop. Don't stop. Okay, Mr. George Knapp, the Las Vegas journalist and occasional radio host on Coast to Coast AM. But I will share with you this particular story regarding a village my parents and I used to live in before moving to Burnley. In 2016, we moved into a 1960s bungalow in a semi-rural, semi-residential area. We thought we'd try life here in this particular village, as it was a place we used to visit while I was growing up in high school. As things quickly transpired, it was less than satisfactory, as the atmosphere, if you could even call it that, was for the most part dead. This so-called village felt more like a graveyard of souls, a place where people did little more than pretend at life. However, not long after moving in, some rather unusual and unsettling things started to happen. First of all, behind our back garden was a small neighborhood, or what we call over here a council estate. The household adjacent to us at the end of the back garden kept a lot of big, fierce dogs. After the first year living there, These dogs started to exhibit strange behavior. Regularly, they would all start howling in absolute unbridled terror. It was the weirdest thing ever, for it followed the exact same pattern every single time. The howling would start with this one, a particular dog making a regular rhythmic ruff, almost as if it was keeping tempo, the way a drummer does to start off a song. Then all of a sudden, the whole chorus of hideous howls would start sounding off, ripping through the desolate, empty air with their unearthly, harrowing alarm. Well, if you're a damn good writer, you should pursue writing. This is beautiful. The prose and the way it flows. Look at that. I'm a poet and didn't know it. Make a rhyme anytime. This would happen all times of the day and night, in all seasons and all weathers. Why they did this was a complete mystery, for they were kept safe and away from any agitation on the streets. The next, and perhaps even more bizarre phenomena, which became fairly regular, started back in early 2018. I first witnessed it one night in a bathroom around 11 to 10 p.m. Wow, just like the first story we heard, another bathroom story. It was pitch black outside until all of a sudden the entire window pane flashed with a blinding, brilliant white. There was no thunder at the time, nor any form of illumination which could even vaguely account for this. As a matter of fact, I don't think you could have even replicated the intensity of this flash. Not even a stadium floodlight overhead could have achieved the brightness of this flash, for it was able to cut through the pitch darkness to the point where I saw nothing but pure white from the window. The flash came in a second, then disappeared, and everything outside went back to normal. A few weeks later, my mom saw this. Am I crazier than they say, or did I see something move right back here out of the corner of my eyes and then hear a tree knock over there? I think that thing that I saw as I was coming up here is up here still. Continued to get my 6. A few weeks later, my mom saw this exact same flash in the bathroom, and then some weeks after that, both my mom and dad witnessed one of these flashes in the living room. Again, these were truly remarkable occurrences without a single explanation for them. We have no idea why these things happened, though we have speculated on some of the reasons and have often wondered whether there was something sinister and awry about the back garden of our house. Ever since we moved in, my mom used to get creeped out when she went into the back garden, which is completely out of character for her, as normally she feels at home in gardens. As a kid, she loved wildflowers and has been interested in them all her life. Plus, she has many, many fond memories of her father's vegetable plot. But somehow, she always felt unsettled in our back garden. One day, when we were digging up the soil in order to make a flower bed, we actually uncovered some mysterious brick foundations of what must have been a much older building. We have no idea what it could have been, but its discovery was at odds with what the village elders told us about the place, as they always maintained that prior to the construction of the 1960s bungalows, the area had just been nothing more than empty, arable pasture land belonging to some farmers. It was only right at the very end of living there, we moved out last year, when some old man came along and actually confirmed that there had indeed been some strange old brick shed right in the vicinity of our house. Could it have been some strange, murky history associated with that old brick construction which caused all these oddities? Who knows? Thank you for taking the time to read this, Kevin. I wish you and yours the very best and keep up the great work and the wonderful videos. Your friend in England, Wilf. Wilf, thank you for your story. Kristen Ann and/or Timmy Howard, thank you for yours. Got a whole pile of them, guys. But again, now that we have a page administrator, freeing up a lot of my time, we're going to get to them, even if it takes doing a couple videos a day here for a little bit until we get caught up. So remember, October Nights, Part 2 coming at you soon. If you don't have Part 1, get an autographed copy from our Etsy store. The link is in the description box below. If you prefer ebooks, you can get it on Kindle at Amazon, print as well over there. I'm going to go up here and collect the security cam footage and see if there's anything on it. If so, watch for another video later tonight. See you then. If not, we'll see you tomorrow.